Park Row Books and HarlequinAudio present A Rather Peculiar Poisoning by Chrystal Schleyer, performed by Susie Riddell. To David, for someone so full of words, I never have enough for you, so I'll leave you the four that weigh the most. I love you, always. 1. Asquith Manor, afternoon, May the 9th, 1910. The wind whipped at the lake, turning it choppy and dark as if all the water had been replaced with crushed silk dyed an oyster grey. It was a terrible start to the party, and threatened to be a poor week for the guests. Sadie stared outside where fog clung close to the earth, blurring the grounds until it seemed as if pale froth had spilled itself out over the grass. And at the lake's bank, the forest swayed a warning. She turned away from the greenhouse's long wall, where the storm gathered beyond the ornate glass and gold metal. The gilded frame tangled into curves along the edges of the windows, and the thin panes rattled as the wind let out a low howl. But in the humid greenhouse, life permeated the space in the small sense of soft dirt and fresh growth and clean citrus, and the coming storm seemed far from reaching her. The cosy room calmed her. Besides, she had a warm hearth and a busy kitchen waiting for her. She'd let the guests worry over the sharp winds, the thick fog. A basket hung from one of her arms, holding a pile of huckleberries, their colour so dark they looked as if drops of ink had pooled together in the nooks of the worn wicker. Soon they'd be simmered down, crushed up, and drenched in sugar until they formed a sweet compote laced with cinnamon. Sadie left the gathering storm quickly and swept through the door leading back into Asquith Manor. After all, Dayton was known for its lush land that bloomed in summer, brought about only by these very spring storms. She'd have to get used to them. She pushed the dark clouds from her mind, even as they bent so low they seemed near enough to whisper a warning in her ear. Smooth wooden walls muted the thunder as Sadie stepped quickly down the hall, sinking deeper into the heart of the manor. She focused on the steps in front of her, the solid bricks beneath her feet. The Asquith estate was grand and well built, nothing like the cottage she'd grown up in where thin wooden walls let in the wind and the thatched roof dripped rain. Here, there was so much stone, the stalwart manor seemed as if it threw its chest out to the storm, dared it to rage. Still, Sadie had never experienced such harsh weather before, and a finicky thought wouldn't leave her mind. "Aunt," she started to say as she entered the kitchen before correcting herself. "I mean, cook." Aunt Agnes turned to Sadie. Copper curls were piled atop her head. A few escaped as she moved before a large cast-iron stove, the flames inside warming the room until Agnes's pale cheeks flushed. "Lachlan isn't so formal that you can't call me Aunt. You'll not care whether you call me Aunt, cook, or lady of the kitchen," she smiled, and the freckles scattered across her face danced. "So long as his food is served on time and you work hard, Sadie. It's a good home here." Sadie nodded. She knew her position was a coveted one. Lachlan Asquith was a generous employer, and if her aunt hadn't been his cook, Sadie wouldn't be Asquith's new help. She did wonder, though, why the last kitchen maid had left. No one talked of her but in whispers, and Sadie wondered if it was to spare her feelings. Was the last maid, Betty, they'd called her, as skilled as her aunt? What did Agnes think of trading Betty, who she'd worked alongside for years, for her? "Now then, what did you want?" Agnes asked, interrupting her thoughts. "Did you get the huckleberries?" She turned to the stove, stirring a pot, then faced Sadie and the large work table standing between them. Pastry dough waited on its flour-dusted wood for her. "Plenty." Sadie lifted her shoulder, showing the basket hanging in the crook of her elbow. "I was just wondering why Easton and Weston picked such a miserable week for the party. I mean, if these storms are normal for spring, why not wait until summer?" She didn't add that she thought their names were ridiculous. Easton and Weston. East and West. But from what she'd heard of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?